What's up, everybody? This is Coach Aaron Saft and the Running is Life podcast. Today, I'm just going to give you a stream of consciousness. I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I want to share, go over, talk about, just catch up with you. First off, I was talking with Travis Macy. I had promised that that episode was coming up. Travis couldn't make it this week, so we're going to try for next week. So that's still to come. But in the meantime, I just had a bunch of things on my mind, a lot of lessons that I've learned and want to share. So maybe you can take away something from this as well. But first, I want to get to a few little housekeeping items and talk about some things that are coming up. The Truly Tough Cross Country Classic. If you follow me on Strava or on socials, you've probably seen I've been kind of pushing out that the registration is open. We've been working very hard on the trails at the Rugby Middle School to try to complete this long trail. It's pretty pretty long. I think it's about 3/4 of a mile, which when you're like a 3/4 of a mile, the work that's gone into it has been extensive. And I'm going to talk about trail maintaining and trail building, just so you get kind of a glimpse into what goes into this and how hard it can be. But to finish the thought, the Truly Tough Cross Country Classic will take place on September 28th at the Rugby Middle School. There's going to be multiple races that day, but we have an open event, and it's a 5K. It's going to be probably, I would guess, about 75%, maybe even a little bit more on single track, including the new trail that we built. And then about 20 to 25% on grass. There's three concrete bridge crossings, but aside from that, it's basically all off road. Those bridges are quite short. They are concrete, but for for the majority of this race, it's going to be trail and grass, like I said. So I'm very excited for this. I'll put the link in the show notes for registration. The registration is on Ultra Sign Up. We're trying to keep this moderately priced because we're just doing prizes. We're not giving away t-shirts or anything like that because the money is all going back to the cross country teams. Those being the middle school, Rugby Middle School, and the high school, West Henderson High School. So kind of almost a fundraising event for our program. We're just trying to get this event off the ground. We are also hosting an elementary school race, roughly between 3/4 of a mile and a mile. I still have to measure that course. That will be all grass for the kids. And that's free for the elementary school kids. We are giving medals to all finishers on the elementary. So if you have an elementary school aged child, feel free to bring them. We just have a little registration sheet that will be day of that they have to fill out. The open race is at 8 a.m. The elementary school race is at 9 a.m. And then those will be followed by the middle school races. We'll have both girls and boys middle school races and then high school girls and boys races. The middle school races are 2 miles. The high school races are 5K, same course as the open. So lots of division, lots going on. So I hope you can join us for the Truly Tough Cross Country Classic. It's going to be a fun day. We've got about, I think we have like 15 high schools registered right now. Hopefully we'll get some more middle schools. I think we're at like roughly 3 right now. So, just trying to grow this. It's a first year event, but I'm super excited about it. So I hope you can join us for the open race or for any of the others. We also need some volunteers. So if you want to come out and help, would love that. We're still working on the trails. I've been working with the Carolina Mountain Club. We're going out Thursday, the day this releases, and Friday to do some work. I'm hoping to have another work day. It's just getting kind of tight with days that are available to do the work days as the cross country season kicks off this weekend for us. Out in Boone, we'll be taking the high schoolers and the middle schoolers out to Boone. For the Pioneer Clash of the Classes. It's a 2 mile event in Boone, and they race by their grade, which is pretty cool. So we start off our season this weekend, and the Truly Tough Cross Country Classic will be September 28th. Again, registration's on Ultra Sign Up. Complete details are there. Feel free to contact me with any questions or anything you have. But like I said, please, come out. You can walk, you can run. We don't have a time limit. I put it as the first race and followed by the elementary school race so that everybody has plenty of time to finish this. It is a tough course, and that's why we call it the truly tough. But, please feel free to join us. The other one I want to remind you about, I talked about this 2 weeks ago, is the Solly Ultra, formerly known as the Solly Frosty Foot. This was a race that I put on a number of years ago. I was the second race director. It is now on its fourth set of race directors, but I have an affinity for this race. I'm not getting any financial gains or anything from this. Wish I could make the race, but it's a tough time of year for me to get to as we're in winter track, and it's usually right around my daughter's birthday. So but I love Solly. I think it's a fantastic route. The course is so cool running around Fontana Lake, just so beautiful. So the nice people at Solly Ultra have extended us a 10% off discount if you use the code, and these are all uppercase letters, SAFT. That's S as in Sam, A as in Adam, F as in Frank, T as in Tom, my last name, all uppercase. 10% off on registration. The race date is January 18th. There's a 50K, a 30K, and an 8K. You can find out, just Google that, Solly Ultra, or go to the show notes, and I'll put the link in the show notes as well. So, that's the big things that race wise are coming up. I also want to say thank you for the shoe suggestions. I got a number of shoe suggestions for road shoes as I'm trying to kind of train here for the JFK 50 miler in November. That's my next race. Well, that's not true. I signed up for the Cannonball Run Marathon in Greensboro in October. I think it's October 12th. So I'm going out there as kind of a tune-up, but I needed a road shoe to kind of train and race in. So a lot of suggestions have come in. Love that, and I appreciate you guys chiming in. And if you have some more, don't hesitate. Reach out. Let me know what you're digging, what you're not digging. I also like to hear what you haven't liked and why. So please feel free to share with me because I haven't even had a chance to go shopping for for shoes yet. Just kind of got back to it, so no rush to grab them, but yeah, I appreciate that. Also, myself and a number of my athletes have tried out the Koros armband, and we found some good success with it, especially in the upper zones for using the optical heart rate technology, just like our wristwatches. It's actually got a pretty good algorithm and that gives you a fairly accurate reading in the upper zones, which usually isn't the case. Yeah, so I've been very pleased with the Koros. I do note that in the lower zones, it can be a little bit inaccurate. So in other words, if you're trying to go easy and run zone two, it may read a lot of zone one. So on the lower end, it doesn't seem like the algorithm is quite right. So take it for what it's worth at the moment. But in those upper zones, the 3, 4, etc., they seem to be fairly accurate, and it's much more comfortable than the chest strap. So good option in that Koros armband. So again, I have no affiliation, just kind of telling you guys what we found and what seems to be working. So want to extend that information. So, lastly, here in this, and this is kind of a somber note, but I feel it should be said and should be reminded. We had a young person take their life the other day. Trying to get emotional. I didn't know this young person, but I can only imagine what their parents are going through. Um, it's something that has struck close to us and our team, and I want to say that um, it can be prevented, and this is something we need to talk to kids about. Right, I'm going to talk to my team about it and remind them because this was a sad reminder. Um, if you or someone you know has suicidal thoughts, you can call or text 988. That is the suicide prevention hotline, and talk to someone. Please, parents, talk to your kids. This is tragic to lose a life so young. But please, let's make sure we're doing our part to make sure that we talk to anyone and everyone that we can so that this doesn't happen, that they don't think this is the solution. So, again, call or text 988. Okay, I'll put that in the show notes. I think it's something that's hard to talk about, obviously, but it's something that needs to be talked about, especially with our youth, because we want them to have a long and healthy life. And if we get them the help they need, they're on their way to doing so. So I'm sorry for that somber note, but transitioning into other other things that are going on with the Olympics wrapping up. It was what an Olympics we had. Paris did an amazing job. Sure, there was there's there's problems with everything, but I would say that it was an amazing Olympics. I was so excited to see the performances that came out of the American distance runners, from Grant Fisher getting the bronze in both the 5K and 10K, to Cole Hocker getting the gold medal in the 1500, and Yara Naguse taking third. I mean, two medals in the 1500. That's never, well, I think it was, I mean, it's been, God, so many years since that's ever happened. So my congratulations to all the athletes, especially our sprint squads. I mean, so many medals were won on the track. It was just incredible to see all these performances, and some really narrow misses, especially in the 800, the men's 800. An incredible performance, an American record 141, which is just incredible. And to imagine that that got fourth, that's just hard to envision. But so many cool things happening, both on the men's and women's side. Of course, yeah, just incredible to watch the 400 hurdles, the 110 hurdles. I mean, the 4x4s, gosh, it was just amazing to watch and so inspirational. Um, just I mean, Hassan, I mean, I know she's not American, but Hassan to take third in the 5K, 10K, and then win the marathon in the Olympic record. Just some amazing things happening along with the other sports, not just track and field, but just really inspiring. It's hard to say goodbye and know that it's 4 years down the road, but it is exciting to know that in 4 years it will be here in the U.S. It's our intention to go. I can't wait. I hope that I hope that we get to go and watch, because it's just so amazing. I got to go to Atlanta in '96 and see the first day of track and field with my friends, and what an experience. It's really is something incredible. So I hope you got to enjoy the Olympics. If you didn't, obviously the you can go to YouTube, and watch most of the races, which is awesome. So many cool things. Like I said, it's just hard to it's hard to keep up with because there just was so much that happened. So very cool. But I want to say that congratulations to my friend, Ben Thomas. Ben has coached Cole Hocker since college, and Ben is just the most humble coach, very quiet, soft spoken. I got to work with him at Virginia Tech. He's back there now. And I was actually in his wedding party. So my good friend Ben, we just had lunch over the holiday. We went and we took my son Keegan to Virginia Tech to kind of get a tour of the engineering program, and got to have lunch with Ben and his wife. So I'm just so fortunate to know people like him. He was one of my mentors for coaching. Took a lot away and understood a lot more from being under Ben and learning from Ben. So my biggest congratulations to Ben Thomas, for Cole's gold medal performance in the 1500. It's just so cool to see that and see that success. I texted him and he texted back, which he was just over the moon with. It's been such a journey with Cole, and to see that come to fruition in such an amazing time. I think that was an Olympic record, if I remember correctly, but just off an American record, but incredible, just incredible. So congrats, Ben. Um, all right. Some other things. I listened to the Running Rogue podcast with my team. We did a whole Zoom call. I'm not going to go through everything that we discussed, but there were some big points that touched on that I think we can all take something away from. I'm going to put the episode in the show notes so you can have a listen, because I think it's worth it. It's about the striking the balance between training and life, and making sure that you understand what the fine line is between overdoing it, both in races and in training, and doing just enough to make sure that you perform. But it's a great episode. So I suggest you go and listen. I'm going to give you two bullet points that I found quite striking and actually hit home with me because of the examples that I'm about to give. So the first one was he talks about the all or nothing approach versus at least something, and that's a great point because last week I'm going to take this for example. Yeah, I've told you that I've been strength training again with Coach Will France, and like last week was just so busy. School hadn't started yet. School started this week, but we were kind of with orientations and doing the trail work, just maintaining my work schedule and communicating with my athletes. It just didn't leave me much time at all for really anything. I had time to run when I was with the kids. That's what I had. I was getting home, after 9 o'clock because we were doing trail work till late, or things were going on. So I just didn't have time to get in the strength training, or so I said, because I took the all or nothing approach, versus just trying to do something. Get something in, whether that was like 10 or 15 minutes of some simple strength or core. I could have done something. I could have, put that in somewhere. But because I felt I was so busy, I took the all or nothing approach. Do the workout or not do it at all. And that's a mindset that I need to change. And the same thing happens with running is that, we're like, I just don't have time today for this hour run, be it what it is, whatever that day calls for. But at the same time, okay, so you don't have time for an hour. Do you have time for 20 minutes? Because something is better than nothing. So, do what you can. So you don't have to say, oh, I just don't have time for this hour. I'm not going to get it in today. Okay, so, again, go back and decide what do you have time for? What can you squeeze in? Is it a mile? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Whatever you can do, do it versus not doing anything at all. It's going to keep you in the routine. It's going to give you benefit. So, try to squeeze something in. Yeah, just figure out how you can do it. Um, Kind of like what I did yesterday. Today is Wednesday, and yesterday, Tuesday, I had the kids doing. It's called the Sisyphus Hill workout, and we went up to the woods just past my house, and we were doing this workout. And I typically kind of run back and forth and check on the groups. We were on two different hills, just to kind of separate the numbers out with between the girls. They did one hill and the boys they did another hill, so that they had spacing and weren't cramped into one tiny hill trying to all do have 30 something kids running on one hill. So I was running back and forth between the two hills. It's all on one stretch of road, so I would go up and then back, and I was supposed to do strides yesterday. So, with watching the kids, it would have been hard to do them in succession. So what I did was I just did them over the course of my run up and back. I got almost 7 miles and almost 1,000 feet of gain because of just going back and forth. But I was able to get it in. I was able to get in. I actually got in more than what I anticipated. I wasn't anticipated going, so long. Now, it's not ideal. It wasn't. I wasn't running all the time. I had to check on the kids. I had to stop at certain points just to make sure things were okay. Explain something, go over. So it wasn't like my normal run, but I got something in. So again, I did something versus nothing, right? So in the past, I may have just like, watched the workout and just kind of, not got my run in. But yesterday, I try to remember that, let's get something in. And actually, like I said, I got in more than I anticipated, so worked out. Now I was supposed to lift yesterday and just ran out of time and energy. But plan on getting it in today. So that's the other caveat is, well, if I didn't get it in on that day, can I move it to another day? So another option there. Um, I was listening to the Headspace app. For those of you familiar with the meditation Headspace app, they had a great they have these, I don't know how to call them. They're like little snippets. They have like a really short meditation in them, but they go over like a really um, a succinct point. right? So on Sunday, it was talking about setting your intention for the week, right? What do you intend to do that week? What do you want to fit in, right? And instead of like dreading the week and dreading Monday, like set your intention for what you're going to do and kind of lay out the week a little bit so you have a little bit more framework and you feel a little bit more at ease with what's to come, right? Rather than saying, "Oh God, tomorrow's Monday." Set up your schedule. And so my intention this past weekend was to read a little bit each day. I've kind of gotten out of the habit of reading books and my publications. Again, just due to time, but by setting the intention, I've been able to read every day, and I'm getting quite far into this book that I'm reading, which is Puke and Rally by Dr. Robert Bell. I'll put it in the show notes because it is a great book. It talks about our failure, right? Like when we fail, how do we get back up, right? How do we reset our intention to move forward? And it's just it's a simple read. I've been blowing through this book because it's like I said, it's a great read. It's a page turner. Always something on each page to kind of pull and take away from. So been really enjoying this book. So I set the intention on Sunday to say, hey, I'm going to set aside a little bit of time each day, perhaps before bed, and read rather than watching TV. So I chose to do something more productive rather than something that puts me in a vegetative state. So I've been reading a little bit each night, and this book, Puke and Rally, has been great. I'm really enjoying it. So I'll put all that's in the show notes. Again, the Headspace app has some great stuff that goes over. I've been trying to do a meditation each day, and a breathing exercise each day. And then if I like the topic that's in the short little snippet, I'll put that on as well. So trying to add a little bit more to my day by doing intentional work and taking away, from something that perhaps was I don't want to say waste of time, but I haven't been trying to peruse social media as much. I haven't been watching as much TV. Trying to be more productive with my time. So, but that all started by setting my intention for the week. The puke and rally kind of gets into my next topic. The Dealing with DNF, or a race cancellation or a course modification. So this past weekend, I had two athletes that were supposed to race the Eastern States 100 miler. One who you've heard from recently was Chaz Adams, and they were, set to race. They woke up race morning and were told the race was canceled. Rightly so. There was a state of emergency in Pennsylvania. There was massive flooding. 4 out of the 6 counties that they were supposed to run through were in a state of emergency. So it was tough to deal with for the two of them because we've been training for this for months. Chaz and I have been working together for 32 weeks to get him prepped for this Eastern States. And the other athlete, Cody, same thing. We've been working for a long time to get them prepped for Eastern States, and both of them were primed, ready to go. And they woke up race morning and it was canceled. Yeah, I had two other athletes that were doing the Bigfoot 200, and there was a major course modification the week of the race, a few days before the race, because of a forest fire. What can you do? That's we always talk about control the controllables. There was nothing that either of these situations could do. Um, but kind of peel back, and then the guys that had the race cancellation, I told them, take your time to process this, right? Use this week just to kind of think about what you want to do. Think about where your fitness is and what is a possibility. Could you do another race? Is there something you can find that you're excited to do? And Chaz and I kind of talked through things yesterday on the phone, and I don't think he'd hate me for saying he's going to go after a fast 50K. So we're just going to kind of push the training just a few more weeks, run this fast 50K, and then we'll kind of assess from there. But Cody's he's still not sure, and that's okay. Like this is still it's a frustration. It's hard. Like we have to go through the states of grieving, really. He's still in the frustrated state and anger state, and I understand that, and we understand that it's beyond our control. It's just hard as a human to accept that, something that we work so hard for could be taken away in an instant. And it's moving forward when you're ready, that's when you can start to progress again. So Cody has Oil Creek, in a little bit. So we're trying to decide if he wants to do the 100K or the 100 miler, depending on what his goals are and how he's feeling. But I told the guys, I said, if there's nothing, it's okay to take a break. If we can't use this fitness, it's a bummer. Yeah, sure. But at this point, the body and the mind probably just need a mental break and a physical break. So, if we can find something within a few weeks, we were going to go for it. If we can't, then time to take a break. So, but going back to the course modifications, those guys had to reformulate. I mean, they had all of their ultra pacer stuff set up. My one athlete, Matt, had tons of spreadsheets set up, and here's what I'm gonna pick up here and there, which again had to be modified almost in an instant because of the course change. But that's what you have to do. You have to roll with the punches. You can't be frustrated by it. Again, it's beyond your control. So if you control the controllables, then you go back to what you need to do in order to be prepared for the new course. That's the hard part, right? Is not going through those stages of grieving for long periods of time. You have to kind of get through them quickly because race day is almost upon you. So it's tough. That's really tough, to process and absorb and reformulate. But that's the process that you have to go through in order to be ready for race day. Now, Zach had an amazing race. He had a great one. I'm so proud of him. Zach Dean, he's been on the podcast as well. He finished Hellbender and the Brutes Challenge. Just an amazing year for Zach, and I'm so happy for him. And Matt, on the other hand, did not finish. And while I am very bummed for Matt, of course, I'm also excited for him because he went after it. Like this is something that was brand new to Matt when he approached me last year. Now, Matt is amazing at taking this and turning it around and saying, this is what I learned from it. And that's what we have to do in a DNF is, this is what I learned from it. This is what will help me next time. Now, he's kind of processing it as well and saying, hey, like maybe not next year, but in a few years, maybe I'll come back to this distance as he grows as an ultra runner. Like that's great. That's a great mindset is like I'm in it for the long term. And the best long-term plan based on what just happened is to say, hey, I need a little bit more experience with ultra in order to come back and finish this one. So I love that. I love the fact that he took a step back and say, what's the long term here? What's the best for me in the long haul? If I want to be at this sport and stay at it, what will give me the best rate of success? So that's a great way to approach it. Take that step back and look, okay, it didn't go well this time, but how can I make it go well the next time? And sometimes that answer is just need more time training and racing an ultra. And I think that's fantastic. So Matt, kudos to you, man. Great points. Okay. Um, all right. So I just kind of talked about the Zach having finished the Brutes challenge, and I think that's what's speaking to me for 2025. Been looking, I mentioned the Denali 135. I mentioned applying for Badwater. But I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna kind of blend a few things here. There's a few different thoughts that I have um, about about the about what I'm about to talk to. So the Rogue Running podcast that I referred to earlier also had one other point is running can mean something different to us at different points in our lives. And that's right there. That's something that I had to come to a realization with this year. this year has been super busy with the high school. I've put my time and energy into the kids and the team, and that's what I want. That's like I had to realize that's what I wanted, right? Cross country, I'm putting full energy into it. And my training comes secondary. Their training comes first, right? Like I said yesterday, I fit in what I could. And if I can get in, some running and some training, that's where I'm at right now. And that's sometimes that's hard for us to accept, but it depends on where we're at in life, right? When a child is born, I don't know if any of you have experienced this, your focus and your energy are on this new life, right? And your running has to kind of take a sidestep, right? It's really hard to train because of how tired you are. All the time commitment that goes into child rearing. It's hard. It's really difficult to try to train like you're used to. So running kind of has to adapt, right? You have to adapt and change your lifestyle, your running, your training to fit what life is throwing at you at the moment. And that's what I found right now is, I don't have the time to fully commit to the training I'm used to. So I'm doing the training that I can and accepting what the results are because I know, the reality is I'd be too stressed out trying to fit in and I'd be too tired trying to fit in all of the training that I really want to do. I'd probably get injured because of how much fatigue I'd be going through because I just don't have the time or the energy. So with that said, 2025, I don't really want to place an emphasis on a specific race. I'd like to have at a few times during the year where, perhaps I have a lull in track or in cross country, or in the summer. I'd like to put in the Brutes Challenge. And for those of you that may be listening and aren't familiar with the Brutes Challenge and haven't listened to previous episodes, we've done quite a few episodes with Brutes finishers. I think we've had four different episodes with Brutes. And we talked about it with Tony too. Tony didn't get to finish the Brutes Challenge, but perhaps it's something he will so that's almost the fifth episode. But the Brutes Challenge, aside from that, is five different courses. And within a calendar year, you have to complete all five courses. Those five courses are in five different states. In North Carolina, it's Pitchell. In South Carolina, it's Foothills. In Georgia, it's the Georgia Loop. In Virginia, it's the Massanutten Loop. And then in Tennessee, it's the SCAR. So if you're not familiar with those courses, check them out. There are some brilliant courses. Now, Charles Raffensperger, he's been on the podcast and talked about this. He's the one that came up with this whole challenge. Again, it's not races. You don't have to sign up for them. You can do them anytime. If you don't finish one, you can attempt it again. As long as you're done within a calendar year, you've completed the challenge. So, I don't hope for anything crazy. I don't hope for any crazy times or anything like that. I just want to do it. These courses are cool, and most of them I've never run. So, like to experience those and perhaps do them with some friends. But who knows? I may just do them solo and enjoy the experience. So, but that's what's speaking to me in 2025. Because like the next point, I'm just not sure I really want to do the lotteries anymore. Um, I've kind of talked about Western states. I'm on the fence. I don't know if I really want to do it again. Yeah, it was a neat experience. But at the same time, I just don't have the drive, to do it next year. So, I'd love to do Hard Rock in the opposite direction. That I ran Hard Rock in 21, so I need an even year. It would have been this year. So I really, if I got in next year, I mean, it'd be a really, um, I don't know. I'd have a hard time after experiencing high lonesome this year, really going back for doing another high altitude next year, especially with it going over a 14er. But we'll see. Like I said, I love Hard Rock. I love that course. If I got in, it would be a tough decision, honestly, because I really want to do it in the opposite direction. But we shall see. So, but like I said, really what's speaking to me is the Brooch Challenge. As I said, I've been looking up Denali to see last year registration opened on September 1st. I haven't seen any updates as of this year, and here we are in mid-August. So that would be awesome. I would love to do Denali 135, but I just haven't seen anything on it. So we shall see. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, the the other point is that I wanted to talk about is we've been talking about being present. I talked about setting intention. The other thing that we're working on, especially with the cross country team, is being present and staying in the moment. It's sometimes on our runs, it's okay to kind of think through things, think through problems and stuff. But if it starts distracting us and causing us stress, we have to refocus and become present. Again, like we don't want running to be something that we don't enjoy. It shouldn't stress us out that we have to go for a run. Be present, enjoy the moment, enjoy the fact that you're out there and moving. Again, if it's that, you're stressed that you have to get in an hour, again, do something, 20 minutes, go a mile, like do something, get something out of the day. That way, at least you feel good that you've run. Okay. We always feel better that we've run. But we have to stay present. And that's what I taught the kids yesterday. We were doing, again, the Sisyphus hill session. And Sisyphus, what it is you warm up and then you do hill strides. And so your intervals are 30-second, 1 minute, 130, and 2 minute hills. And the actual workout calls for 3 sets. It was their first workout. So most of them did 2 sets. A few of them did 2.5, and then only a couple did 3 sets. But really, what I told them is, stay present, stay in the interval. They're running and they're like, oh God, the 2 minutes coming up. I said, you're not on the 2 minute, you're on a 1 minute interval. Focus on the 1 minute interval. Stay present, stay with where you're at. It's the same thing we have to do in a race, right? Like when we talk about a race, be it a half marathon or an ultra, you have to stay in the mile that you're in. You can't worry about the next mile. You have to think about what you're doing at the moment. How are you feeling at the moment? What do you need at the moment? Stay present, right? And so that's what I kept telling the kids yesterday. Don't dread what's to come. Stay present in where you're at. Don't worry about, and even when they got to the 2 minute interval, because they were all dreading the 2 minute interval, I said, don't worry about the duration. Worry about the moment. Worry about how you're feeling at the moment. You'll get through it. It ends. That's what you have to remember. Everything ends. Every race ends. You just have to get there. Okay. So stay present and then you will get there. So that's what we've been working on in the cross country. Um, and well, aside from being present, we've also been working on the trails, and that's the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on. I've trail building at rugby has really opened my eye into how much work goes into the trails. I hear from some people like, "Oh God, that trail was so overgrown. Like, why doesn't the Forest Service do something about it?" If you think about how much trails are out there and how many miles of trails and how few employees there are in the Forest Service, most trail work is done by volunteers. And so, if you don't know, it's easier to find out by just contacting the ranger district. So contact your ranger's office and say, "Hey, is there a group that helps maintain these trails? I'd love to help. I saw that X trail is really overgrown and there's a lot of down trees. I'd like to coordinate with them and perhaps help work on it so that it's in better condition for our use." As I said, I'm working with the Carolina Mountain Club out at Rugby. They've been instrumental in helping me finish this trail on time. I couldn't have done it without them. What goes into this. So it took us forever just to kind of mark the trail and make it in a way that's sustainable so that there's not steep grades, because a lot of the side hill or the incline of the different hills are so steep that, going up and down, we couldn't make it so that the trail just went straight up. It's not a sustainable grade for water runoff. So we had to be careful about how we built these trails and then how we bench them into that side hill, right? So how we cut the trail so that there is a flat tread. And you don't want to make it completely flat because again, you want water runoff. So there was so much that went into building these trails, and actually cutting the trail in, it just takes so much time. And that's the big work, is like, kind of benching, what we call benching the trails, or flattening them out so that it's runnable. That is a lot of work because, once you start to cut into the ground, you start to cut into roots and rocks, and you have to remove all of this stuff so that there's nothing in the tread. So, that's the tripping hazard. So, but so much work goes into it. and maintaining. It's my section up on the mountains to sea. I haven't even gotten up there. Thankfully the Carolina Mountain Club has gotten up there and helped me with weed eating and stuff, but I still need to get up there and clear water bars. There's just so much work there is, and that's what goes into trail maintaining. And so um, if you can help, if you can get out there, if you can volunteer, that's what it requires for us to be able to enjoy these trails. Especially if you see an overgrown section. I know a lot of people, get onto the mountain sea and they're like, oh, this section was like so overgrown. There is a section maintainer. As I said, I have a section myself. My section runs from 151 over to the Pisgah Mountain, Mount Pisgah parking lot, and that's on me to make sure. If I can't do it, then I ask for help. I ask for the Carolina Mountain Club to come out and help me. It's just tough for them to do everything, so they need more help. They need more manpower. So if you're available and can volunteer, please, try to help out. So again, I'll put their information in the show notes. There's so many organizations around, so, please reach out to them, see if you can help, because that's what we need in order to sustain our trails. Because what happens if they don't get maintained is that the Forest Service is like, well, this one just hasn't been maintained in years. We're just going to close it down because, nobody works on it. That's what ends up happening. It takes groups like the G5 Trail Collective to reopen them. The G5 has done a tremendous job of reopening and building new trails within the Old Fort area. Incredible. So there's groups all over the place. The High Peaks, Carolina High Peaks, they do so much work up on like the Crest Trail in that vicinity. All the trails that come off of there. That group goes up there and does all the trail work. There's so much up there. So really cool groups. That's just our area. But again, you can find ones in your area, or you can reach out to the Forest Service and say, hey, like, is it possible to volunteer? Or can we create a trail work day to clean up this trail? You just have to have the initiative and have the courage to ask. So don't hesitate. All right, guys. Um, I think that's everything I had to go over today. Hope you pulled some stuff from it. Again, check out the show notes. I'm going to put a lot of resources in there, some good things to check out. Um, and I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully, Travis and I will be able to record next week and get that out to you guys. Really enjoy my conversations with him. He's a great coach and a really nice person. So really look forward to talking to him. I loved his book, The Ultra Mindset. So if you haven't checked that one out, please, great resource for for your growth, your mental growth. So with that, my friends, I will say a farewell until next time. Keep moving forward. Running is life.